I'm Catherine, 31. Standing in front of my family, who are now staring at me in disbelief, I feel a strange sense of calm wash over me. The large sold sign in the front yard of what was once my childhood home is a stark reminder of the events that led me to this point. My family, consisting of my parents, Robert and Linda, and my younger sister, Emily, had always been a source of stress and frustration. My father, Robert, is a dreamer who refuses to adapt to the modern world. He runs a small antique shop that has been struggling for years, but he's too stubborn to change his business model. My mother, Linda, is a passive enabler, always going along with my father's schemes and my sister's demands. And Emily, well, she's the spoiled one, always expecting handouts and never taking responsibility for her actions. It all started about 18 months ago. My father's antique shop was on the verge of bankruptcy, and the family home was at risk of foreclosure. Being the responsible one, I stepped in. I moved my design studio from my downtown Denver office into my childhood bedroom to save on rent and became the mortgage guarantor. My father promised it would be temporary, but as time went on, it became clear that this temporary situation was here to stay. I was working 70-hour weeks to cover the $13,000 monthly expenses. Meanwhile, my parents were constantly praising Emily for her so-called job hunting efforts, even though she spent most of her time scrolling through social media and planning her next vacation. I was also in charge of Sunday dinners, cooking while exhausted as Emily ignored me and showed my mother pictures of luxury resorts. One day, I noticed that the pantry was empty, even though I had given my mother $4,500 for groceries 3 weeks ago. When I confronted her, she casually said that prices were up and that Emily needed proper nutrition for job interviews. I started to dig deeper into our family's finances and discovered a series of suspicious charges. There were $4,000 in grocery charges at high-end stores, yet the pantry was still bare. Then, one fateful day at my design studio, my phone vibrated with a series of fraud alerts from my platinum card. A whopping $38,000 had been charged at a luxury lodge in Vail, the same place where Emily had mentioned she'd be networking. My coffee mug slipped from my hands, shattering on my desk and ruining a project I'd been working on for weeks. I called my parents, and when I told them about the charges, my father nonchalantly said that Emily needed a little treat as she was working hard to find the right opportunity. My mother echoed his sentiment, saying it was just a small treat. It was then that I realized I had been nothing more than an ATM for them for the past 18 months. That night, I found the quit-claim deed in my father's office. He had transferred the ownership of the house to me 18 months ago to deal with a tax lien, but they seemed to have forgotten about it. I started to plan my next move. The next morning, I listened to a voicemail from Emily. She was talking to my parents about using my credit card again before I changed the PIN. They were all in on it, a coordinated plan to use my money without my consent. When Emily returned from Vail, she announced that she was hosting a homecoming dinner and waved my credit card statement in my face. She also said she needed $55,000 in startup capital for a business idea she had come up with in Vail. The next day, I found my office ransacked and my laptop was gone. I decided to take action. I reached out to my great-aunt Margaret in Santa Fe. She had a diner and offered me a place to stay and jobs for my family. I booked 3 one-way tickets to Santa Fe using Emily's dormant credit card. I also contacted a real estate developer who had been interested in our property for years, and he offered an all-cash deal. As I stand here now, showing my family the evidence of their financial abuse, I feel a sense of empowerment. I lay out the original quit-claim deed, bank statements, and transcripts of their conversations. I tell them that the house sale is final and the proceeds have covered their debts and my expenses. I hand them the plane tickets to Santa Fe and invoices for everything I've paid for since moving back home. Emily tries to argue, saying I had no right to use her credit card, but I remind her of the fraud she committed with mine. I tell them they have 2 choices: accept Aunt Margaret's offer or face the consequences of their actions. As I watch them argue among themselves, I get into my car and drive away. The weight that had been on my shoulders for 18 months finally lifts. A year later, I'm in my new downtown Denver loft, leading a successful design team. When I receive a fraud alert on my credit card, I handle it calmly, just a minor inconvenience. I've learned to set boundaries, and I'm no longer the doormat I once was. Saturday afternoon, I visit Aunt Margaret's diner in Santa Fe. I see my father working in the kitchen, my mother arranging flowers on the tables, and Emily serving customers with a newfound sense of responsibility. Later, Aunt Margaret and I share a glass of wine on her balcony. She raises her glass and says, "To standing up for yourself." I cling my glass against hers, knowing that I've finally found my strength. When I return to Denver, I find a certified letter in my mailbox. Inside is $4,500 in cash and a note from Emily. She says they've started counseling and that she's committed to paying me back. I add the money to my future home fund, still wondering if our relationships can truly be healed, but for now, I'm content with the newfound peace in my life.